everyone, and welcome to another review. This time I will be reviewing an eyeshadow from Catrice, and I'm talking about the Velvet Matte eyeshadow line, and specifically this is in the shade 040 L Burgundy. As I hope that you're able to read on the back of this eyeshadow, this is good for 12 months after opening, and this contains 3.5 grams of product or 1.23 ounces, and it is made in Italy. This is a newer release from Catrice. There are 6 shades available, and all of these shades are pretty much in the color scheme of fall colors, pretty neutral, but pretty colors. Now, in an approach that is pretty uncharacteristic of me, when I saw these in the display at my local drugstore, and I got these from DM, and I'm pretty sure that I paid $3.95. I know that depending on the location where you buy these in Europe, they may range from $3.95 to $4.29 to $4.49. So around the €4 mark, which comes out to about $4.8 a piece. So as I was saying, in an approach that is rather uncharacteristic of me, I decided to be rational about consumption for once, which I'm not able to do very often with my purchases, and I decided to get just one eyeshadow, try it out, see if I really like it as much as I thought, and then go for the other shades. And in retrospect, I have to say, boy, am I glad that I did it that way, for once at least. Now let me read to you the claims regarding the texture of this eyeshadow. What the Catrice website says is that the Velvet Matte eyeshadows with a new premium texture contain ultra soft shimmer pigments for a velvety matte finish. Thanks to the silky, highly pigmented formula, the Velvet Matte eyeshadows practically melt with your skin to create a radiant look. So as the name implies, these are not completely matte eyeshadows, and I find that a bit confusing because they do have the word matte in their name, but their description clearly states that they have shimmer in them as well. So they're an almost matte texture with subtle reflexes similar to the appearance of velvet. These appeared in my drugstore at some point towards the end of the summer of 2013. And since I'm really a big sucker for burgundy shades, I was immediately drawn to this one. So anytime I would go shopping, I would swatch this one on the back of my hand, and it made me to completely fall in love with this shade. This was so beautiful, a dark and rich burgundy shade with quite a few plummy undertones. I even kept the swatch on the back of my hand until I got home, and then I started swatching through my collection. And once I saw that I had nothing quite like it, because all the other burgundy shades that I already owned went more to the reddish side of things as opposed to the purpley burnt plum side of things. So I had the justification that I was looking for, and I had a rationally grounded reason to go out and purchase yet another eyeshadow. And so I did. It may be worth noting that the tester that I tried in the store consistently for some 2 months, and I would say that I swatched it at least once a week for 2 months, so quite a lot of times, was nothing short of a dream. It was so creamy to the touch, buttery soft, so pigmented, not powdery. The shade of the eyeshadow was just gorgeous. Needless to say, I was absolutely in love, so I went ahead and purchased this one. Now let's take a look at this, and you will also understand why the compact has been closed all this time. Shortly before purchasing this, I actually went online and read several reviews on these eyeshadows, and they all noted that these are very soft eyeshadows and that they do tend to crumble in the pan. So I was extremely careful in handling this eyeshadow. And the mess that you see in the pan right there has been created by me dipping my brush into the pan with extreme cautiousness for, I would say, some 4 or 5 makeup looks. Honestly, that's all it took. I've never ever seen an eyeshadow crumble like that. And when you first buy this eyeshadow, it has a nice domed shape, But as you see here, you're probably not going to be able to enjoy that domed shape for a very long time. But let's go on to the color and let's swatch it. So I'm just lightly touching the eyeshadow. It is very, very crumbly. As you see, the pigmentation is actually quite nice. And the color in itself is gorgeous. Just this really dark and rich burgundy shade. Really, really gorgeous. And it has a lot of those purple undertones that I really, really like. You're probably starting to notice over here why I chose to use paper underneath this eyeshadow for this video, because it has actually started to create a mess in my makeup storage already. And I obviously had it stored shut, but still some of the powder escaped and it's starting to create a big mess in there. Now I'm obviously not all that crazy about an eyeshadow that crumbles like that just in the pan, just from having lightly dipped a brush into it, which I think is very weird because I've never had that happen to me. But I was willing to live with that, so I did this beautiful look on the eye, and it really turned out gorgeous because the color is fantastic. It was nice, it was pigmented, you can really blend it out, so I was really excited about this eyeshadow. And then maybe barely an hour into wearing this makeup look, I took some pictures of myself and I was shocked. This has never ever happened to me. And mind you, I had used primer like I normally do, but all the eyeshadow on my eyelids had completely disappeared. I'm not talking here about fading, I'm not talking about creasing, I'm talking here about complete and total disappearance. Now, I've never experienced that before with any eyeshadow of any price range, but I would dare to assert that this was nothing short of magical because it all just vanished into thin air. I was shocked. I look at myself in those pictures and it looked like I had no eye makeup on besides eyeliner. Where did all the rest go? And indeed, I have tried this eyeshadow a couple more times, and if you use it just on its own, just on top of a primer, it will disappear into nothingness, and I mean literally nothingness, within probably less than an hour. So unless you're doing a makeup look for a photo shoot that is going to take place in the next 5 minutes and not last more than half an hour, you probably need to use some tricks in order to get this eyeshadow to stay on your lid. As I said, the initial look when you've just finished applying the eyeshadow is gorgeous, except that you're not going to be able to enjoy it for very long. So if you know me, you know that I'm intent on getting a product to work for me, and I do have to say that I was able to get this product to work. The best way to get this eyeshadow to last is to apply it on top of a really, really long-lasting creamy base. And the one that I like using with it is this e.l.f. one in Poppin' Party. The colors go very well together, and if you've tried this base, you know that it does not budge. And when you apply the eyeshadow on top of this base, it really makes it last all day. Now, that being said, you do get a lot of the base color showing through. So when you apply this Catrice Velvet Matte eyeshadow on top of a base, the eyeshadow works more as an accent on top of that base and as an agent that enables the base to be better blended out, but you're not actually able to enjoy the full richness of the color of the eyeshadow. And without that base, you've got just a disappearing act. The other way you could use this eyeshadow is to use it on top of another eyeshadow that you've applied as a base, and you have quite a bit of freedom in selecting what powder eyeshadow you would want to use as a base. And it tends to work regardless of shadow. Admittedly, not as well as it does with this long-lasting base. This Catrice Velvet Matte eyeshadow does not do very well at all if you apply it on its own on top of the primer. You need to have another layer of product, be it powder or cream to powder, that separates this eyeshadow from the primer. Now, this is the part where my biggest issue with this eyeshadow starts. As I mentioned, I had actually swatched this eyeshadow consistently for over 2 months, at least once a week. So that would be 8 times swatching it. And as I said, I got this crumbly mess in this pan after using it with a brush, super lightly touching the eyeshadow with the tip of the brush, super carefully after just 4 makeup looks. So that is less than what I did when I swatched it in the store. And when I swatched it at the drugstore, I was obviously not trying to be particularly careful with it. Now, if you've seen any kind of Catrice display in the store, you will know that they tend to offer their testers in a pull-out tray that you have underneath the display of the actual product. So what I mean with that is that they do not put out one of these eyeshadow compacts and leave it opened and mark it as tester. They have these trays where the eyeshadow is built into the tray, and size-wise, the tester does look exactly like the eyeshadow that you would get in this single compact. Now that and the fact that the tray is labeled testers led me to believe erroneously, as you will see, that the tester is actually the same product as the one that you are able to purchase in these single compacts. Now that was a big mistake because, as I mentioned, I swatched the heck out of that tester and it never crumbled. It didn't even kick up any powder. It was just buttery soft and a dream. I thought that I had discovered a hidden gem of the drugstore, but knowing what I know now, I am 100% certain that the product you see in the tester is not the same with what you get in these compacts. And I'm really upset and disappointed with that fact. I'm not trying to bash Catrice in any way because I really do like their products, but I think that the marketing strategy that they're initiating with this very deceiving practice is something that they need to stop doing as soon as possible. Isn't the whole idea of a tester that you're able to test the product before you buy it? Now, if the tester has stellar quality and what you actually are able to buy has crappy quality, why put a tester in the first place? I don't know how you feel about this, but to me that is straight out lying to your customers, and I do not think that is cool. I am very disappointed with this. Why would you put a tester that behaves like a dream and then have a crumbly, disappearing eyeshadow as the product that you sell? That is just nonsense. It is highly dishonest, and I'm really disappointed and annoyed by this. And no, I do not think that I got a dud, because most of those reports that I read online mentioned that this eyeshadow was really crumbly. It offers you a naked eye look because this thing freaking disappears. So no. If I am to give this product a grade, I will give it a 1 out of 10. I have never ever been so harsh on any product, but if you take into consideration that you're paying €4 for this product, which is still affordable, of course, but I would say that it is going towards the mid-range price of the drugstore, and you're getting something that requires a lot of work in order to make it appear on your eyelids and stay on your eyelids. Now that is disappointing in itself, but if that would be all there is to this product, I would probably give it a 5. But I find the deceitfulness of putting in a tester that has nothing in common with the actual product besides the shade, which is stellar, except that you're only able to enjoy it for a couple of minutes, I find that act completely unacceptable. And that is why I am giving this product a 1 out of 10. You may think I'm harsh. I just don't particularly enjoy being lied to. I'm a person who both in her personal and professional life values honesty above all things, so this is a total no-go for me. And this has made me very skeptical of purchasing any more products from Catrice. And I really do hope that they go back to what they had in terms of marketing and in terms of good, solid, honest products at a great drugstore price, because this is how I got to know the brand of Catrice, and that's what they should continue to be doing. So I hope that this review was helpful. Thank you so very much for taking the time to watch, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!